Hey y'all, it's Dawn, and I'm so glad you're back. I've got another fun, budget-friendly DIY video for you today. This is another collab, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. Now for the first DIY. I used 4 of these hearts I got from Amazon and glued them together using Dollar Tree wood glue. I put some of the glue on the hearts and then rubbed it to cover the entire heart with my finger. I stacked the hearts together and got them aligned as well as I could. I held the hearts together with binder clips until the wood glue had time to set up. Once the glue had set up, I removed the binder clips. On the first heart, I painted it with 2 coats of Folk Art Barely Pink chalk paint. And then used Folk Art terracotta paint to make the heart look like the little candy hearts you can get for Valentine's. I used a stencil brush and dabbed the terracotta paint onto the heart. I also applied the paint to the sides of the heart with the stencil brush. On the next heart, I used Cavern Moss terracotta paint and dabbed it on like I did with the first heart. Making sure to cover the sides also. With my Cricut, I cut out the words "Kiss Me" and "Be Mine." These are 2 of the phrases you find on the candy hearts. I apply the vinyl to the hearts, and just look at how adorable and sweet they turned out. If you want to add these sweet hearts to your Valentine decor, I would suggest using 5 or 6 hearts, which I have in my Amazon store. I thought 4 would be thick enough for them to stand on their own. They will, but they will easily fall over. Let me know what you think of these adorable, sweet hearts in the comments below. I have to say, this DIY turned out so stinking cute. I used a Dollar Tree wood block and painted it with Folk Art blushed pink rose chalk paint. I did this on all 6 sides of the block and dried it with my heat gun. I applied a layer of wax and buffed it with a soft cloth on the entire block. I used this Amazon Buffalo stencil and Chalk Couture Peachy King chalk paste to stencil the buffalo design on 5 of the sides of the block. I didn't worry about doing the bottom because it wouldn't be seen, but you can stencil it if you want to. Once the block was dry, I applied another layer of wax and used some Chalk Couture Valentine mini stencils on the 5 sides with the buffalo plaid. I used Chalk Couture bright white on the stencils and dried each of them with my heat gun. Have I mentioned how much I love Chalk Couture recently? Their stencils make creating beautiful home decor so much easier. Could you imagine doing this by hand or with a Cricut? I can't. If you want to learn more about Chalk Couture, you'll find a link in the description. If you still have questions, send me an email or direct message on Instagram. And look at how adorable this Valentine Tier Tray block turned out. I can't decide which side is my favorite. Let me know in the comments what you think. For this DIY, I used one of these little glass jars from Dollar Tree. I had to get the words off of the front of the glass. I first tried using fingernail polish remover, but that didn't work too well. It didn't take any of the stuff off. So I used a razor blade and scratched the words off. This worked, and I cleaned the glass with the fingernail polish remover. I added some Mod Podge to a cup and then added Folk Art Barely Pink chalk paint. I mixed the Mod Podge and paint well and then poured it into the glass jar. This paint is a soft pink and I love it. It's so beautiful. I would have painted on the jar, but I never have good luck painting on glass. For some reason, it always turns out looking bad. Once I poured the paint into the jar, I began tilting the jar and allowing the paint to run down the sides inside of the jar. Doing this did take quite a while, but I just absolutely love how it turned out. Once the inside of the jar was covered, I placed the jar in a cup and allowed it to drain and dry overnight. The next day, I created a cut file in Design Space and placed the vinyl on the jar. Along with a gray and white ribbon, I made a small bow. And just look at how stinking sweet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Today's video is part of the Minis collab hosted by Corey from Crafted by Corey. Corey is an amazing crafter that you will want to check out. I'll leave a link to her channel along with a link to this month's playlist in the description. Now for more DIYs. I used this Couture board and pillar stand for this Valentine's cutie. I also cut up the Hugs and Kisses stencil so it would fit. I placed the stencil on the fuzzing cloth and then applied it to the board. I applied Peachy King chalk paste to the words on the stencil and removed the excess, placing it back into the jar. I removed the stencils and dried the chalk paste with my heat gun before moving on. I applied the ampersand part of the stencil and used storm chalk paste on it. And just look at how stinking cute it turned out. I love Couture. It makes crafting so much easier. If you want to learn more about Couture or take a look at what they have available, you'll find a link in the description for my Couture site. I found these adorable Valentine wood beads on Amazon, and you'll find them in my Amazon store. I thought they were perfect for a Valentine's garland. I placed a piece of tape at the end of some cotton string to make it easier to put the beads on the string. I started placing the beads on the string in a pattern that I liked. I continued stringing the beads until I was happy with the length, and I'm not going to bore you with watching me string these beads. I also found a package of these hearts on Amazon, which is also in my Amazon store. Plaid sent me some new folk art paints. I found a couple that would complement the garland. First, I painted the heart with barely pink chalk paint and dried it with my heat gun, of course. They also sent me some terracotta paint, and I thought I'd give it a try. I applied a layer of rose pink. I love this paint. It has an amazing terracotta texture. I decided to go try something a little different. Instead of painting it, I used a stencil brush and pounced it on. You can't really see here, but the texture it created was amazing. Once the paint was dry, I decided to distress the heart a little so you could see more of the texture. I first used Waverly antiquing wax, but really didn't like the way it was turning out. So I painted over the distressing with more of the barely pink chalk paint. I then applied a chalk Couture stencil and then used Currant Jam chalk paste to finish the heart. And just look at how sweet. I love this terracotta paint and will be using it a lot more often. You can also find it in my Amazon store. Please take a second to like this video and leave me a comment. This really helps my channel to grow so others just like yourself can find me. If you just found me, I hope you will join our little family by hitting the subscribe button. If you are already part of the family, thank you so much for your love and support. Y'all are the absolute best. Check out my new Amazon store for craft supply and farmhouse home decor recommendations. All the products I use from Amazon in my videos can be found there. Until next time, happy crafting!